all the way to adulthood. It
all the time.
seemed like bullying for that long would be very tiring and stressful. You would think.
Well, it's really not for the bully because it's a power trip.
Are you ready to be in the spotlight? Are you ready to share your story with the world? Well, Snails with No Shells is where you need to be. Available on all digital platforms, Facebook, and YouTube. Snails with No Shells. Leave that shell at the door. Where did we go wrong? We were doing so. My interpretation. Get your copy today.
It's like something that gives them like, oh, this person's scared of me. Oh, I can control. If I'm like a control freak, I'm controlling everything. I'm controlling their comings and goings. I'm controlling their emotions. And I think mine's probably took a little bit longer because my emotions never showed in the workplace. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was just dead on face like this,
Right.
calling the rest of B face. I was just like, keep coming. I'm gonna still maintain. Inside, I probably was like,
Prayer.
falling apart. But my
Mm-hmm.
exterior, I was like, you're not gonna break me. And that's the thing, psychologically, we're gonna break you. We're gonna make you feel like you're less than. I mean, I was gaslighted. They were telling me I had written something that I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was just,
Mm-hmm.
just an enormous amount of um, just negative, like
Yeah,
pulling
that's
a person
that's
apart.
narcissistic. That's narcissistic
Right,
behavior.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so at the end of it, when I really start playing the tape back, because you got to play the tape back. There's so many different stories. So every time you talk to me, I might have a different story I can tell you because it went on for like a year, a little bit over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one of the things that I realized is that it was one person that orchestrated 5 other people,
Mm-hmm.
which I would consider bystanders. But none of them stood up to say, hey, why are we doing this? They followed what that initial, and I call her a puppeteer, but they followed what that initial person told them to do because they were, well, we're going to lose our job or we got to do what she says because she's in this management role or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where once you go through it, you recognize it. So when people are talking to me, I automatically recognize and I start asking them certain questions because sometimes you, like I said, and you asked before, you don't know what's going on because it just blindsides you. You don't anticipate growing up, going to work, doing what you're supposed to do to get there, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's school or trade or whatever, to get there to be bullied.
Mm-hmm. So what would you tell an adult? Like if they watch this show and they might be like, oh, I'm going through that same thing and they hadn't quite figured it out. Especially that gaslighting, because I've been gaslit, and that
Yeah,
gaslighting will have you second guessing yourself, and it puts you in such a mental space where you're just very confused and you really
right.
second you're like, I know better. Like I know I did, like you said, I know I did this. I know I and it's people will do that on purpose. That's not
Yeah.
cool. That's not cool. And I experienced that like dealing with kind of like in a relationship before. So it was different.
Mhm.
You got different situations, but it's the same crap. It's
Right. It's
still
the same
narcissistic
mental, the
behavior.
same
Mhm.
mental, like
Yes. Yeah, it's
like
the
it takes
same.
you mentally, and then you're
Hmm.
questioning yourself, like, no, I didn't. Did I? You sure?
Hmm.
Maybe I
Right. Did I
did.
say
Hold up.
that? Maybe
Right.
I did say that.
Right.
Did I? Right. Right. So it definitely being gaslighted, it helps you strengthen your like your listening skills,
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, okay, let me start listening, and it gets that brain tightened up too. It's like, it starts making you think more. It's really it's a negative thing to do to a person, but it really strengthens your listening skills, you being able to think more, like, okay,
Right.
because because you're like, I'm not going through this again. You ain't gonna tell me that I said or I didn't turn in nothing, or I'm gonna make sure, like, and at the workplace, I'm gonna make sure that I take screenshots of all my stuff. I'm gonna make sure that I do recordings. You just really you tighten up your game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what would you tell another adult that's watching this and say, "Dang, I think I'm going through the same thing." What's the first thing that they should do?
I think the first thing is just to understand and recognize, like, how did I get here? Like, what started it? Um, and then just take like a break, like maybe take a day or two off just to get everything together. One of the things that you have to do, and it doesn't always help, but it helps because when you have other components working against you, like everybody kind of works together, whether it's in human resources or whatever, but just keeping your paperwork intact, documenting as much as you can when you have scheduled meetings. I was a part of the union at the time. So if a union representative can be there along with you, just making sure that you have that type of support the best way that you can. And then I always would suggest to anybody is to get some type of outside help, whether it's a therapist, a pastoral counselor, a counselor, anybody who can actually help you to kind of manage it. The one best thing that I can say is that, and I wish I would have done this, is to journal my journey. And the reason why I say that is because even now, I think sometimes you kind of suppress your thoughts, and I'll have things popping up like, oh, I remember when this happened. And now it's just like, let me try to connect all these dots back together. But it'll help you to like take everything out your mind, put it on paper, and you don't have to keep toddling with it. Like even with the gaslight situation, you don't have to keep going back to it. They said this, they said that, because that also creates mental health, issues and trauma. And, it kind of like pulls you apart. But if you write it down, put in a book, and then just be ready for the next day. Now, typically, like I said, most people who are bullied in the workplace are excellent workers. Just do your best to keep your work up. Do your best to turn everything in on time, because it does get overwhelming. But you kind of have to push through the overwhelmingness, because the 1 minute that you slip is the 1 minute that see, you know what? She was late with that. That's exactly what we were talking about. She was late with that. And once you're late with that, then everything else is like a domino effect, because now you're trying to catch up with that assignment and then another one, because they're coming at you left and right. So, just getting the support and care. And I'm not going to always say your family and friends understand, because they don't. They really don't.
Right.
And it's just amazing how you can tell people, no, this is really what I'm going through. And they're just like looking at you like, what?
Right.
So making sure that you have a third party listener.
Okay.
A third party listener, because even if your family and friends know, a lot of times they'll just keep coming back. So what's going on at this place? And what's going on? And you have to keep repeating yourself. And that's traumatic. You know what I mean? Like that's because if you're still going through it, that's extremely traumatic to have to keep repeating it, keep answering it. Well, what did you do the last time? So making sure that you have that third party ear. And if you can, start looking for something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if the best that you can, if you're not overwhelmed and doing, what you're working on, if you can look for other employment, that would be my, remedy.
Right. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to take a pause for the calls. We're going to give a shout out to the sponsor of this episode of Snails and No Shells. And we come back, we're going to talk about this anthology that we got going on. All right. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Can you silence that? I'm on video.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I have the amazing, beautiful Rochelle A. Campbell with me this evening. And if you just tuning in, you missed the first part, so you're gonna have to rewind and go back and watch the replay. All right, so we are moving on to this exciting anthology. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Rochelle?
So this anthology, because I kept saying after the first one, I was like, I'm good. I got all of my insides out on paper to help somebody else that's going through workplace bullying. But then I realized after going through such a traumatic experience that I needed to write about how I unplugged from that psychological trauma.
Mhm.
And the trauma wasn't necessarily something where I couldn't get up and move every day, but I just had like snippets of memories, throughout my work day or throughout the time, like when, I was getting myself back to work, where it wasn't easy for me mentally to stay focused. And so sometimes I would like break, like internally, I would just like mentally break and have moments where I felt like any and everything I did wasn't, to the best of my ability, because traumatically that experience like really traumatized my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-image. And so I had to do a lot of work with myself just to unplug from all of that trauma. And one of the things that I realized is that when I was going through the bullying at work, they always talked about my writing.
Mhm.
They always mentioned something like, oh, this could have been written better. This couldn't be, And so that was part of me saying, you know what? I'm not a bad writer. You're just, this is just something that God wants me to elevate on. So let me put more interest into this, because if it took 6 people to try to railroad me in my life, God has something amazing for me moving forward.
Mhm.
It might not happen in 6 days or 6 years. However, I couldn't stop, because I knew that if I stopped, whatever was inside of me wouldn't be able to like grow and to blossom and to bloom. And so just writing, just, my journey from unplugging from the trauma, just spending more time with God and doing things to be peaceful and elevate within myself. And so it didn't take like, I didn't have to have like, new friends or new this, that, and the other. It was me just resting well and understanding my journey for myself. And so that's why I decided to do the second one with this anthology. And it's actually titled Unplugging from Psychological Trauma.
Nice. Nice. And you mentioned the cracking open, like the cracking.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's a good way to put it, because I when you get cracked, because I've gone through that. I'm talking about cracked wide open. And it's like, but once you experience that cracking open and that crumbling of who you used to be,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they talk about the rising phoenix, how you rise from the ashes. That's
Right.
exactly what you come out of. You
Right.
rise out of them ashes and you fly like the phoenix. So
Right.
that cracking, that crumbling, because somebody, especially when you have something greater to do, you got to go through something. You
You
have to
have
go
to.
through some type of trauma. You have to go through some type of wounding. I mean, you got to go through something, because it's all about sacrifice to go through. When
Mm-hmm.
you go to every level of life, when you upgrading or leveling up, and Reese's always talking about leveling up, right? You got to sacrifice,
Yeah.
and people don't want to deal with that. They don't want to that cracking and crumbling. People don't want to deal with that, because it's so much to have to deal with. It's so much to face. But if you want to go to that next level, you want to come out of the cocoon, because even the process with the butterfly, the caterpillar in that cocoon,
Right.
it's going through a lot. It's
That
going through a lot of,
metamorphosis. Right.
changing in that cocoon before it can even become a butterfly.
Right.
So if a creature such as the butterfly has to go through a process, humans definitely going to have to go through it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing about going through the process is every step that I took, it was a teachable moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
So every lesson that I learned, even going through the bullying, it was a teachable moment for me to understand that whatever God has given me with my own fingerprints, is that it's that delicate and that special that somebody wanted to take it away or to stop me mentally moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I mentioned, that I did therapy, and it just resonated to me to how people go through so much. And in order for that person to kind of change their life or their mental or to move forward, it has to be internal.
Yeah.
Like as a therapist, I can talk to you all day long. I can give you worksheets. I can give you examples. We can go through. But if you're not willing to make that internal change, it's just me talking. It's just me sitting there. It's just me, giving you worksheets or giving you homework assignments, because it has to take you within to make that change. And it took me a lot to understand that I wasn't what they say I was. They don't even know who I am. It was just them trying to railroad me for whatever reason, for me not to be able to blossom or to bloom or to metamorphose into the butterfly God had me to be on this earth to be. And so learning all of the things that I had to learn during that time frame, hearing in my head over and over again, they used to say, one lady used to yell at me and say, "What is wrong with you? Are you incompetent?" Like she would literally get in my face and say, "Are you incompetent?" And I would just sit there and look at her like, "You just don't know who God made. What are you talking about?" So I couldn't take those words. It resonated. I mean, it kept going and playing over and over. And so I had to silence her, silence things that they said, and just like stay focused and unplug from all of that little inky binky along the way trauma that collectively grows into like major, mental space in your head.
Right.
So
Right.
it's been a journey, but it's been a teachable journey.
Right, right. And it's like this is one of those situations, ladies and gentlemen, where it's like people will be so quick to judge. If that was me, I'd have left. First of all,
Right.
you can't, if you haven't experienced it, you really can't speak on it. You don't have any idea. You can't, especially as adults, you can't just quit. You got
Right.
responsibilities, you got bills to pay. You got so much going on. It's not just about, oh, what I would have done. When you experience it, when you go through it, DM me and we'll bring you on the show. And let's
And
see if
I got that a lot. If I was you, I would do this. If I was you, I would say this to them. If I was you, I would. And I'm like,
you're
you
not
don't
me.
know what you would say or what you would do.
Right.
Because I wasn't working in a small company. You know what I mean? Like I'm working for a large government agency. So me, hey, they're gonna be like, okay, she wants to, okay, we got her. So it's easier said than done. And just being, like you said, just judging people from what I would do, what I would say. You don't know what you would do or what you would say.
No. And the thing about the thing about being cracked open and when you come back renewed, it makes you become less judgmental yourself, You're definitely more empathetic to people's situations. You know what I'm saying? So it's so necessary. It's so necessary.
Yeah.
So I do love the fact, again, Rochelle, that you are sharing your story. And then now you're putting it into a book. And y'all, this anthology there's 57 authors in this anthology. 57 authors, 57 all different kind of stories.
Right.
And then we got a journal. Then you got a journal. So Rochelle has her part of the book that's very interesting and very beautiful, and it's gonna be a life changer for you, And then she got some exercises for you to do in the journal, a part of the book. I'm so excited. I have never seen that journal. That journal is huge.
And if anybody says they don't have anything to write about, they need to buy that journal and just write down their life story or because like you said, that the book has so many different topics and so many different life-changing experiences. It is just amazing because it's not one of those things where it's just like a kind of self-help book for one type of, situation. It's so many different storylines in there that it's really beautifully put together. And that I encourage anybody who gets the book to also get the journal, because then you can start, writing out whatever chapter, that fulfilled you the most, or chapters, you have the journal to finish the exercises with. So
yes, it's definitely a beautiful project. Everyone definitely put their hearts and time and effort into it. And like I said, the group, the contributing writers, like we're all really just, everybody wants to help. We helping each other out. We're, referring people to each other, just say, okay, I know somebody that does this. You can go over there, call her. I know somebody does that. And it's just a big, like I said, just a big camaraderie.
Right.
So and I'm looking forward to. I had no idea we were going to be having a retreat.
I know, right?
The owner anthology, the book and journal. I'm like, we're going to be in the Dominican Republic. This is April the 26th to the 30th?
30th, yep. 26th.
Yeah. So, ladies
ready.
and gentlemen, from my understanding, it's not too late if you want to come to the DR and hang out with us and have a good time. You can go to TCS Consulting LLC.com. Check out the hotel, check out all the events, everything that's going to be going on. We're going to have a good time, because not only, we're going to be talking about our books, of course, but we're going to be having, we're going to be doing, what she said, we're going to be
excursions, different excursions.
Yes, excursions. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to have they said a DJ. We're going to have karaoke and all kind of stuff. So it's something to look forward to. I'm so excited because I get a chance to see all of y'all. I mean, we've been doing Zoom. We've been doing Zoom for a couple of years now, so it's like, man, I'll be happy to be in person with all of you and having a good time,
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to it. And this is my first time going to the DR, so I am ready. I need a vacation.
Yeah,
me too. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice, So, well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, again, I'm looking forward to, and I haven't read. I got to read your chapter. I haven't had a chance to read because it's so many authors to read. So, but yeah. So awesome. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, get your copy of the Own It Anthology. It's on Amazon. And Rochelle, so let's go back quickly to your Toiletry and Company. What are you doing? Anything you got coming up? Any events? Anything you want to let us know about?
So I was I just actually did an event on Friday, and it was such a blessing. It was with seniors, and they had the best spirit. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were happy. They were just like really in good spirit. Right now, we currently have 4 toiletry closets in our school system. Mm-hmm. And so I've partnered with 4 Title I school systems in Charles County, Maryland. And so what we do is we provide toiletry items to, toiletry resources to those schools to make sure that students, have the basic needs. So everything from soap to sanitary napkins. And mm-hmm. It's just been a blessing. So we do that once a month. And then we have some other events that we, do throughout the years. It's like community events that we sign up to do.
Excuse me. Okay, so awesome. So how do we get connected with you? And what's the name of your organization again?
So the name of the organization is Toiletry and Company. We are www.toiletryandco.org, and Facebook and Instagram is Toiletry and Co. And my email account is toiletryandcompany@gmail.com.
Awesome. And so do you take monetary donations as well? And do you take items like physical items, or what do you prefer to receive?
So we do take monetary donations on my website. We also do T-shirts throughout the year, just to, 1, spread awareness about our organization, and 2, for donations so that we can continually purchase items. We typically prefer monetary donations. Not that we don't like for people to donate items, but mm-hmm. when I'm doing a large project, it's just easier to maintain. So I know I have enough soap. I know I have enough toothpaste. I know I have enough lotion. And then unfortunately, I'm one of them type of people that need to have everything to be uniformed. And so mm-hmm. I don't want somebody to have a Dove bar and then somebody else has a Of bar. So
Right,
I try
right.
to purchase everything the same. So everybody, when they pick up their kits, everybody's kit is the same. Um,
Yes.
and it has the same items in their bag. So
Right. And
yeah,
see, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. You care. You're not just throwing stuff in the bag. You're taking it to the caring to the next level. I love
right,
that.
right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, before we go, is there anything that you like a nugget or anything you would like to say before I give out my all my spiel, my stuff?
No, I just thank you for inviting me to be a part of your podcast, Snails and No Shells. I really appreciate the opportunity to, just talk about being bullied in the workplace and then unplugging from it psychologically and, just growing from learning and how to give back to others, even when you're going through a traumatic experience. And, just taking the teachable moments along the way. So thank you for allowing me to be present with you today.
Awesome. Well, that was beautiful. And again, thank you. Thank you. I always love having you on the show. We appreciate you as well. What I would like to say is, ladies and gentlemen, I have just launched my coaching business.
Okay. Yeah.
The name of my 90, it's a 90-day coaching program. It's called Enjoy Your Life Now. And what I basically do, I help business owners and entrepreneurs help them manage stress, and reduce anxiety. So I take them through different steps to help them with that. Because I know it's a lot of pressure. People don't know what they go through. So I'm here to help. I am here to serve. So that's what I'm doing right now. If you need any help, or if you have anybody in your network that needs any help, they can go to my website, www.immsbjmartin.com. I am MsBJMartin.com. I'm on Facebook, BJ Martin. I'm on Instagram, MS_BJ Martin. I'm on TikTok. It's BJ Martin. I'm everywhere. So you can DM me. And you can also call me 678-759-4246 to set up your consultation. I'm doing discovery calls now, so we can kind of see maybe what's the block or what's holding you back. Yeah, so definitely hit me up. I am MsBJMartin.com is the website. All right. So again, Rochelle, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed this time. And I'll see you in the DR, girlfriend. Ah! Ladies and gentlemen, remember, just like the sun, you are necessary. I love y'all. Peace.